So, hi, I'm so excited to be hosting Leila Abdul Rauf, who is a veteran of noise, ambient, metal, thrash adjacent bands, folk metal, different combinations and permutations. And I'm really, this is very, very cool for me. My name is Alex S. Johnson. I'm AKA Kandy Fontaine. It's the Kandy Fontaine Show. And I'm delighted to have you on, Leila. So one of the reasons is because, some of the people that I work with, I also do a press, an imprint called Nocturnicorn Books. And we actually have some of the musicians as authors. So not only,
Oh, cool.
like we have, like, somebody like, I don't know, Jarbo or whatever. Yeah. So, Jarbo is one of our authors, David J. Haskins from Bauhaus,
Oh, yeah.
Ethan Maroulis. And I love all this kind of this proliferation of, everything from, swans to neurosis to, thrash to like old school rock. And I think that you kind of embody all of these traditions and I also had Diamanda on, so that was really incredibly, I mean, not on my show, but
Mhm.
I did a Zoom with her. And
Oh, cool.
so I'd like to talk about the new album. It's called and it's let's see,
Androsyncytium.
Androsyncytium.
hmm
And what does that translate to?
It's Latin. It's sort of a made-up term
Oh,
that I
okay.
came up
Yeah.
with. Andros meaning like the masculine, right?
Oh yeah,
And
right. Yeah.
and what the insidious masculine. Insidium. I don't even know if that's real, but
Yeah,
I
you know,
you know
that's that's
sometimes you just
that's
got to make something up just
That's
to keep
that's
it interesting.
that is hilarious. I remember it's like I've interviewed like before what's Aaron Stanhope. I just left My Dying Bride, which I was wow. I mean, I mean, to me, he was always, the vocal, right? And but yeah, I was asking him about, some of the Latin, like "Seer Me," and he said, "Well, we just kind of made it up." And I was like, "What? What?"
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's interesting, and and it's very punk rock. Okay, so I wanted to start. I've been watching your video for Crimes of the Soul, which is very beautiful. It's very moving and, cathartic. And I was very curious how that song came about, what the
hmm
composition process was like, and where
hmm
the footage was taken from.
Yeah, I'll start out with the second half and then I'll
Oh,
go into the first half.
okay.
So that was shot by my partner, Gregory Hagen, who does make an appearance on both that record, Calls from a Seething Edge, which came out on Cyclic Law in 2024, and he's also does a vocal appearance on Anderson Cidium on the record as well. So he shot that video at a local rose garden here in Oakland. It's such a hidden gem. A lot of people seem to not know about it, and it's a great place to just go and relax and watch the water fountains and all the birds and
Yeah.
you know whatever's lurking around there.
Right.
and
Yeah.
and yeah, this summer's the full bloom season. I think we shot that sometime in the late spring.
hmm
And then our friend Dave Brenner edited the whole thing
Oh,
with all the
wow.
war footage, and
Nice.
so he kind of gave it the grit that
Yeah. He
was
did
true
a
to the
he
song.
he did a beautiful job. Yeah, absolutely gorgeous. And yeah. So where was the documentary war footage? Where did Dave take that from?
I'm not exactly sure.
Okay.
You'll have to talk to him about
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Um, definitely, my feeling is probably Gaza or Lebanon or a combination,
Yeah.
Syria, all the recent, bombings and things like that. And so this album trying to, it came out, it came out in 2024. I'm trying to remember if that's correct now.
Yeah.
So, that was sort of like the D-Day for all the, all the genocides going on. And I started just feeling really, you know, angry and vulnerable in a way that I hadn't felt quite to that point,
Right.
especially in this, hyper surveillance world that we're living in. I just got really anxious and very on edge, hence the name of the album.
Yeah.
A lot of the material is about war. And so war was
Right.
sort of at the forefront. And I work in a psychoanalytic institute. I do administration, but I'm around psychoanalysts all the time. And
Hmm.
so for the past decade or more, I've been there, and I've been surrounded by this very like don't take everything at face value, like
Right.
really like distill it, really like don't make these flip judgments, but actually like explore what like the most horrible parts of ourselves, like
Hmm.
because when we think about war is one of the most despicable things about humanity. But why? It's been going on forever. Like what
Yeah.
is do we even have the capacity to um, you know get away from that?
Yeah.
And obviously that's a whole other conversation about geopolitics and economics
Hmm.
and all of that, because war is a machine for all of
Right.
that. And
Right.
but when you think about people on a battlefield murdering each other, like
Yeah.
um, so I have a song on that record called Failure to Fire. And there was research done, I think back in the Vietnam War, um, that people weren't like, this is the whole premise for the movie Jacob's Ladder too. I just
Yeah.
realized that, but that people weren't killing each other um, enough, you
Enough.
know, so they had to drug them,
Yeah.
with gas to like be able to like incite more violence, because when it came to
Right.
like the battlefield, in the end people don't really want to kill each other. So that's what that song is about. But anyway, I'm just sort of giving you the whole backdrop of that record and
Yeah.
Crimes of the Soul. And is war something? It's not. I'm not even trying to answer the question, but
Yeah.
is war even something that we're uh, that we can ever be above? I like to think yes. There's a
Yeah.
positive side, but hundreds of thousands of years. I mean, I don't
Right.
know, going back to early humans, there's always
Yeah.
been war and violence of some kind. So
Right.
it's just sort of asking these questions and
Yeah.
feeling really pissed off at the same time. So
Exactly. And
yeah.
yes, and speaking of movies, I'm a huge Brian De Palma fan. I mean, I absolutely
Okay.
adore him, right? And as well as, you know, I think he's really kind of like very misunderstood. I think he's sort of like he's a wolf in, I mean, in or the other way around. He's like a sheep in wolf's clothing. Like on the surface, it's like a lot of flesh, a lot of, but and style and pan glide, whatever. But then underneath, he's really Frank Capra, and the
Huh.
music swells and the anyway, I was just watching
Mhm.
crime the casualties of war. Speaking of,
Oh,
right? And
yeah.
I'd interviewed Karen Crisis several times, and
Oh, cool. Yeah.
right, yeah, she's
Hmm.
fantastic. And one of her songs, I think it was from the last Crisis album, and she directly references the Sean Penn character. where he talks about like this is for fighting, this is for fun or whatever.
Hmm.
And she took it, she kind of developed that, and she said that the line in this crisis song was, "He's becoming a weapon of war, war," like that. She kind of
Hmm.
harmonizes with herself with that kind of like using the growly voice. And so I really love looking at the different layers of music, and I was listening to some of the Andros stuff. So you used a lot of, what are some of the treatments that you use on your voice to get the kind of, I had done a lot of work with oh, what's it, Tara Van Flower, and I know,
Oh, nice.
right, right,
Yeah, Lycia. Yeah.
yeah,
Hmm.
she uses a lot of like, like I think she used guitar effect for this might have been her husband,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, Mike
Michael.
Van
Yeah.
Portfleet,
Fa-
right? And
Yeah,
and
yeah.
but she used for this womb like liquid honey, she used a
Mm.
guitar effect, and she processed her voice through a guitar effect, and it's sort of like a an echo loop. And it's, but you like for Crimes of the Soul, you take it to some next level. It's like what are some of the layers in that song? Like a
That's an interesting one.
yeah,
Crimes that that
yeah,
that Crimes of the Soul. So it's the structure's pretty simple. There's
right,
I did very simple drum programming
right,
for that, and some, deep growly synths,
yeah,
and lots of these lofty kind of vocals.
right,
And then sort of the second half, there's like what sounds like these high stringy synths. They're
yeah,
actually all trumpet parts that are really stretched out and playing back at different speeds.
nice.
Yeah, so there's a lot of reverb on there as well. But what I did was, so the first track on that album is called Summon, and
Hmm.
there's another treated horn part at the beginning,
Yeah,
that's drop pitched. Anyway, I took that from that song and I put
yeah.
it in Crimes of the Soul
Oh,
and sped
interesting.
it up at for, like probably three or four different speeds playing
Okay,
back, and they all kind of like fit in this harmonic way, and just kind of like stretching out those tones created this sort of synthy thing, but it's honestly just like acoustic horn, just trumpet through a microphone, and
nice, nice.
some reverb and some pitch shifting. That's it.
So I wanted to talk about a few other artists that I think I pick up. Justin Broderick, for example, from Godflesh. I think he had to retire or something. I'm not sure, but
I don't know the latest about that, but
yeah.
maybe. Yep.
So there's there a little Broderick? Is there a little Napalm? Is there a little
Napalm Death, maybe.
yeah,
Yeah.
maybe,
That's
yeah,
going back to my teens. Yeah.
right.
There's all kinds. There's Einstürzen Neubauten. There's,
Yeah,
yeah, Little Dead Can Dance, Little Skinny Puppy. I
oh
mean, yeah.
yeah.
It's it's all there back in, deep in the unconscious.
Yeah, you're very self-sufficient as far as your gear and your ability to kind of do a one-woman show at the drop of a hat if you have to. So have you always been like techie that way?
Not at all. Like
Really?
I feel like I'm the antithesis of techie, and
Okay.
you were correct when you said, sort of like, I have just a very simple one woman show. I keep the gear as minimal as possible because I just can't, like, I
Right.
can't wrap my head around these complicated setups with all these pedals and, like, just
Yeah.
wires everywhere. I get nauseous when I see,
Really?
so, like I'm
Yeah.
impressed when other people do it, but if I had to do it, I would just freeze. I would be like,
Yeah.
I have to keep it simple because I want to be able to really perform, really get into the vocal performance, the horn
Right.
performance, and
Yeah.
interact with the crowd, which I'm doing a
Right.
lot more of these days
Yeah.
because there's a lot more just challenging singing and a lot more growling in the sets now, and so it's a lot more visceral and
Mhm.
immediate than the earlier work was more minimal and just kind of down tempo. But I'm kind of going a little for the opposite, although there's a lot of dynamic range in there as well. But yeah, got to keep that simple
Right.
from a technical standpoint.
From a technical standpoint. So you're not going to be like, like Keith Emerson or something with the 5 million keyboards and, and,
Hey, I
and,
love
and,
Keith Emerson, but yeah,
right.
no,
But
not
like,
not for me personally.
and Lemmy's daggers, right?
Yeah,
You'd be
there you
like
go,
that.
there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Lemmy was one of my favorite interview subjects, and I was actually backstage in 2011. It was like one of the highlights of my entire career. I was like, holy
Wow.
shit, man. And then when Lemmy changed into his normal person suit because he had
Oh,
a date or
wow.
something, I was like, okay.
Yeah.
He was such a beautiful, beautiful person. And so I'm really interested in the kind of like you worked in so many different genres, and I was want to go back to the kind of the Hammers of Misfortune era, and how that kind of dynamic between sort of almost like folk rock melodies, almost like the Mamas and the Papas and Jefferson Airplane and Crosby, Stills, and Nash meet, I don't know, Neurosis or Jarbo or something. How did that come about?
Well, my time in Hammers, which we're going back far,
Yeah,
I want to say like
right.
what 2010. I was in the band for about 7 or 8 years.
Yeah,
Yeah, from 2010, and but before that, I was in Amber Asylum, or I guess it overlapped. And Sigrid from Hammers of Misfortune was also in Amber Asylum,
oh well, yeah,
and so we had spent we had had a couple of years already like touring together, gigging together, all that, and then she invited me to join Hammers,
nice.
and so I said, oh, okay, well, it's Sigrid. I love playing with Sigrid. So
Yeah,
um and then the rest was kind of history, and then we did our thing. I was on, I guess, two records, and then they moved away to Montana, John and
yeah,
Sigrid. So um, they reconfigured the lineup, I think, at that point. And I don't know what they're doing now, but
right, yeah,
I think they have other projects they're working on. But yeah, so that was fun while it lasted.
uh-huh,
But Hammers is John's, basically his solo project
right,
brought to life in a band, and so I really was there to support, the his ideas, and
yeah,
guitar wise and vocal wise.
right.
Yeah,
That's also brings up an interesting question because you have like when I first talked, I think it was Metal Maniacs, when I you know talked to Jarbo, um, she has a whole philosophy, as you know, of sort of being kind of I mean, she's all about, being the person who humps the gear and, is available for people and is not like a diva who's, separate from the whole, the architecture of, what you need to do to accomplish the music. I think that's really beautiful. And also, Tara Vanflower is very much about when she's doing Lycia, it's Mike Van Portfleet,
right.
it's his vision. And how do you see your relationship with the different, I mean, obviously like Hammers was a long time ago. Um, VASTUM. So, as far as who had the vision and your relationship to that and to that vision and trying to be a support for that. And also, and then your solo work, how that kind of manifests your own voice.
Yeah, those are all great questions.
Thank
They
you.
It's Vastum started right before I joined Hammers.
Yeah.
And then I started my solo project not much longer after that because it's funny, like people are like, well, she's doing Vastum, she's been doing Vastum since 2009 and now is doing so like the album on 20 Buck Spin came out
Right.
this year.
Yeah.
And so that's, we're going back 17 years of Vastum
Right.
on 20 Buck Spin and it's like, oh, now she's going solo. And it's like, well,
Yeah.
no, these are
No.
all parallel projects. I've been doing my solo project
Yeah.
since 2012.
Right.
And so all those things kind of started around the same time, and Vastum's still going. I formed Vastum with Dan and at the time Kyle and Luca and RD. We were the original lineup, and then at this point it's just me and Dan as the original members.
Yeah.
We've been writing another record, and so it was nice sort of like having that project as like a continuation of my compositions, from a metal standpoint. Because I had just when Vastum got together, I'd ended another band that was sort of like thrashy, sort of blackened,
Right.
proggish metal called Saros.
Yeah.
And the drummer of that band, Sam Foster, who used to be in Weakling, um, is all over my last two solo albums. The
Cool.
hand percussion. He's done videos. We're working on another video right now for Aerosanima, which is on Androsyncytium. And so all the photography that, for my solo uh, albums and all of that, that's all, he did all of that. And
Wow.
so so that's like a almost 25-year relationship,
Yeah.
just that just continues to evolve. And I'm so grateful for that. And
Yeah.
um, so yeah, I mean, I can talk about Sam for hours because he's just been such a big part of my life creatively, and has helped me flesh out like any idea that I have, whether
Yeah.
it's for metal or a metal idea. We we're starting a new metal band, and that's all I'm gonna say right now. There's a new band in the
Nice.
works. So,
Sign me
it's
up.
great to have him back on the drum kit. It's been forever.
Yeah.
And, and then he's all over the solo work as well. So, I forget if I answered your question though.
That's okay. That's okay. It's more, I'm very neurodivergent. It's more like a whole galaxy, or mycelium, right?
Yeah.
Mycelium, right? So when I was listening, I love to kind of like, figure out if I can spot like what songs that are like this is counterintuitive are exactly the same song. And I'm not saying any of your songs are exactly the same song as something else, but this is a really wild example. So, the song is by the Go-Go's. I love the Go-Go's. They have a song because punk rock, Pleasant Game, and Iris Berry are friends of mine. And we work together.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Right? Yeah, Iris is
Yeah.
a really really close to Iris, and um the so that song uh Spine was surfing in Spine or something. Surf, do spy, right? And
Hmm.
I was listening to this like, what does this remind me of? And I was like, holy shit, it's Skeleton Kiss by Christian Death.
Oh,
Right?
okay.
Dun, doo, 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 doo,
Uh-huh.
right? It's the same song because
Right.
during that era,
Yeah, it's like
everybody
Killing Joke in Nirvana. Yeah, I know what
exactly,
you mean.
exactly.
Yeah.
Like everybody was into like tiki culture
Okay.
and because as Pleasant explains it, they started, she and Iris and what I mean, like Joan Jett, whatever, but they started punk rock in LA, and then they were the original people, and then a lot of, kind of violent, they're not really punks, they're just sort of posers, and people are just very aggressive, and they got into the scene. So that's when, Pleasant and Iris were sort of like, whoa, this is too much, hostile energy. So then they went sort of back, back in time to return to the halcyon days of, tiki culture
Hmm.
and surf rock, So a lot of those
Yeah.
bands, like you can hear it in 45 Grave, right? The same song structure and the same chord structure is basically like Evil by 45 Grave is basically surf rock,
Yeah.
And I was just like, wow, that's interesting. And I was thinking about well, I guess that was just a sort of an observation. I think w- my question, I guess, is what are some of some influences that people would not recognize that is actually
Hmm.
very important to you?
Well, I'm a huge Rob Halford fan. Anyone who knows me knows that.
Oh, oh,
So,
oh, oh my God. So
yeah.
so you're not going to believe this. I mean, to me, this is just like kismet. This total kismet. So
Okay.
as an anthologist, editor, publisher, I one of my projects, which is right about finished, it's called and it's actually includes interviews with I did interviews with Militia Vox. I've got Liv Jagrell from Live Sin. Oh my God. So I can use part of this interview. That's so amazing. Yeah. And we got a permission to use a exclusive Halford interview. Oh my God, this is so exciting. So exciting. And so yeah, so it's called Hellbent for Leather, a literary tribute to Judas Priest, and I will send you a
Uh,
copy when it
oh,
comes
we're
out.
great.
This is really
Yeah.
so. Let's talk about the priest.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. I can talk a long time about that. We don't have to, but
We don't
I
have to,
can.
but yeah,
No, I mean, they're the best heavy metal band in the world. I just still, I mean,
yeah,
say what you want, live it can be up and down. I've seen them so many times
yeah,
live. I read all the memoirs, both of Rob's
right,
memoirs. I read KK's memoir. It's
yeah,
all fantastic. And so I think there are a couple of moments on especially Eros Anima, which is on the new record,
yeah.
where I just get my inner Halford out,
Nice.
uh, no one's going to say that when they listen to it,
Yeah.
but yeah, there's some vocal melodies where that's straight up the case. There's a song called Fractured Body,
Hmm.
um, that's actually a Vastum song that
Oh,
repurposed into a solo song.
wow.
And the Vastum song is called Corpus Fractum. So I just translated into English Fractured Body.
Uh-huh.
And and so, instead of I repurposed the guitar lead as the
Right.
vocal lead, and
Yeah.
the rhythm guitars as the synth, and then did different drum part
Yeah.
and shortened it. I just took like the intro of the Vastum song and
Okay.
made it its own
Yeah.
song. And the end, where it's just sound bites of glass breaking,
Yeah.
that is an ode to Einstürzen and Neubauten, the
Yeah.
uh, Hausterluga. Is it the end of Hausterluga where
Okay.
there's just like this endless like stream of broken glass? I was like, well,
Nice.
that's gotta give my love to them there as well.
Yeah.
And but anyway, that's to answer that question. But we can go
Yeah.
back to Priest and
Right. Yeah. I
talk
mean,
about
and also,
whatever.
well, I mean, speaking of ambient noises repurposed, right? I mean, the metal gods sound cue where
Yeah.
I think it was like pool cues or something. I just got
The,
Ken Downing's book.
oh,
Um,
good.
right. So what I was really fascinated by is, and watching some interviews because I hopefully I'll be having him on the show later this year.
Oh, amazing.
Right. But yeah, right. But what is really fascinates me about those guys is, and it's just true across the board. I mean, I've talked to everybody from King Diamond to Dio, I mean, and y'all are just you're artists and the the work is the work. And was most, you know, I guess I shouldn't be surprised, but Ken talks a lot about, well, you know, we went into the studio and we did this and we did that, and we were very concerned that the mix was right, and then had to redo the mix. And everything is sort of like, and this is, I think, is the great thing, about music is that, Lemmy was just all about, you know, showing up, having the the show that would just knock your socks off, and he would say, that he was down on like the was it the was it the like Nirvana or those guys, because it wasn't rock and roll. It was just like he thought people would expect you to show up, full rock and roll, and give it a proper show instead of having wool caps or whatever, and plaid shirts, you know, and what's my point? So I love the workman-like quality of it, except, if you're Halford, you show up and your job is to just like dominate us and incinerate us with,
Yep. Yep.
the scream, right? Um, so yeah, that
Well,
well,
Halford started out as a theater guy. You know
really,
that.
no,
Yeah, no,
I
like
didn't know that.
read his memoir. I don't know if it was the first or the second one. And he goes into, his childhood and all that, but
Yeah,
it makes so much sense when you see Priest live or watch a video or whatever.
yeah,
He has like this wealth of theater knowledge and acting, and he got into acting,
yeah,
and then he wasn't sure about music at first, and then his sister started dating Ian Hill, and Ian Hill formed a band and got
yeah.
Rob, so it was like that's how Priest formed, was because Ian Hill was dating Rob's sister. And he was a
Nice.
theater guy,
Yeah,
and so like that, I think that's amazing. I think like when people from one art, they think they're going to make it big in this one field, and then
yeah,
life just takes a turn, and
right.
and then they become huge in another one. And
Yeah.
yeah, I
Yeah, it's very very enjoyable. Also, like I actually became friends with Militia Vox, and I think she is extremely underrated. I don't know why she isn't like an absolute superstar, like goddess, but her and all the things that she got from Rob, the kind of like the the dominating stage presence, and but also it's a kind of like when I saw a Priest in Florida, one time, I was thinking there's a little bit of Liberace, there's a little bit of Elvis in there.
totally
He does some of the karate shit.
got some Aretha Franklin in there. Like it
Okay,
just goes
so
on and on.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I also love the fact that, again, what we think of as heavy metal isn't really all this stuff had to be created at some point, everything from the leather and studs and, bondage look, that was, I'm sorry, Gene Simmons, but that was Priest, right? In 1979, they did those promo shots. I think it was for the Killing Machine album, and they came
Yep.
out, they're all like leathered out, and people were like, holy shit, that's a new look for them, because they
Hmm.
started out much like Bowie, you
Yep.
know, they had a whole folky look, and that didn't, and everything,
That's what KK was saying in his memoir. We
right?
look like we were in four different bands.
Okay, yeah,
Bell bottom, Rob looked all hippie.
right,
Glenn was all in denim, and like,
yeah,
one guy looked like he was going to work or something. Just
exactly, exactly. And I think that's why it's only counterintuitive about, Halford and Priest, for people who watch like his duet with Dolly Parton or with Baby
oh,
Metal or with like,
love that.
you know what I
Yep.
mean? Like on Jolene and and his covers of, like of course famously Diamonds and Rust, Joan Baez, and
Yep.
which was actually written for Bob Dylan, who wrote the song that inspired the name Judas Priest, right? It all goes back to like, folk, and he is,
Hmm.
he listens to obviously he listens to whatever available good music is available. Um, yeah, so that's brilliant. I was also thinking, oh yeah, so going back to like VASTUM, and it's one of the songs I was thinking, what does this remind me of? Because it's I forget the actual title. I think it was sort of like, you know, like sodomitic aggression or something like, you know what I'm talking
Sodomitic
about?
malevolence. Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
as a
that's like the Vastum anthem
I mean, it's
if we
so
were to
that
have one.
the name is so fucking metal that it like transcends itself. It's just like it's obviously you're a rivet head, you know. Only a true rivet head who's ride or die would come up with a title like that, you know, sodomitic malevolence. That's also hopefully somebody will take that as a band name, sometime, and
Yeah,
and then you'll have sodomitic malevolence, the song, and then the by the band Sodomic Malevolence, where it's a cover of, how it goes, right? It's like Burning Witches, and so forth. But yeah, one of your songs was just like is so fucking heavy, and I think you're who's the vocalist, the guy in that
Dan Butler. Yeah.
yeah, Dan
Hmm.
Butler. It's like it was almost like these kind of like little, it's sort of like very early napalm, where you have just these when they had like 40-second songs, these little grunts and cries, it's like "Argh!" and
Oh yeah,
that
Dan is so punk rock.
that's so
Vastum came from punk rock, 100%.
right, yeah. And I was just like listening to think this relentless kind of I was like, what does this remind me of? I was like, oh yeah, Deicide,
Oh yeah, all
right?
right. Yeah.
Right. I was like, and then I was like, I went back and I was listening to like Dead But Dreaming, it's like it's got that kind of relentless juggernaut tank thing.
Yeah,
Um,
Deicide were very, very influential for me in my
yeah.
when I first got into death metal.
Also, I mean, because you're are you originally from the East Bay, or
I
did you
mean, I've been out, it might as well at this point. I've been out
yeah,
here since 2003,
okay.
the Bay Area. But now I'm from Jersey.
Oh wow. Oh
Uh,
wow, Jersey. Jersey. Um, that's how do you like it?
how do I like Jersey?
Yeah. Well,
It's it's been a minute since I've been there.
yeah,
I think the last time was on tour, but um, I would always go back to visit my parents, but since the
yeah.
pandemic, they moved to Florida,
Oh wow.
like all the Jersey and New Yorkers,
Yeah,
they do that when they
exactly.
get old.
Yeah,
So it's been, probably about a good 6 years since I was like really there.
yeah,
Um, but it's great. I grew up 10 minutes from New York City. So, when I was a teenager, I was going to CBGBs, I was
nice,
playing CBGBs, I was
nice.
all the ABC No Rio, all of that.
Yeah.
So I was very much part of that sort of, hardcore punk
It,
scene,
so if
you
you were
know.
part of that, do you know Trisha Warden at all?
The name is not ringing a bell.
Okay, it's one of my best pals, and I'm gonna be shout out to Trisha. Yeah, so she's worked with I guess best known for her work with Henry Rollins and on
Okay.
21361, right?
Hmm.
And she put out what Attack God Inside. Yeah. And she actually inspired me to reach out to Diamanda, um because they're pals. And so she's worked with like Blixa, Michael Jara, Hubert Selby Jr., and she played like KGB and that. So
Okay.
anyway,
Yeah.
just a shout out to Trisha, because it's exciting because we've got, punk rock here. You guys have a different kind of punk rock, you know. It's like, like Puma Pearl is one of our authors. You got more like Velvet Underground. It's a little darker. We're a little
Hmm.
more surf rock, but we've also got 45 Grave, we've got
Hmm.
Christian Death, we got,
Hmm.
all these, incredible, like death rock bands. What's your point, Alex? Well, so it is a very punk, like punk comes out of, where does punk come from?
Oh, something very old. I mean,
Yeah,
like philosophically, I
yeah,
mean,
yeah. Well, all of those questions. Yeah.
there's 60s rock, it was influenced a lot. Like, what am I saying? Like I'd say more like 50s rock influenced
Okay.
punk rock.
Right.
Wouldn't you
Yeah.
say that? Like
Yeah.
50s rock and roll chords,
Right.
and then anything, like philosophically, it came from what, like socialism or Marxism, and
Yeah.
like if you want to go like the situationists back in what, like
Oh
we
my
can go
God.
really far
Oh my
back,
God.
but
No, no. I mean, you're like, I can't believe you just use the S word because oh my God, this is just
I had a
this is
friend back in grad school. I
so
went to grad
cool.
school
Yeah,
who
me
wrote a
too.
whole book on situationism and punk rock. I gotta
Well,
like I don't remember the title, but
holy shit.
um
Oh, what? Okay, so punk
yeah.
rock and yeah, because I'm a like a um and I was an English professor. Um, I have a
You were?
yeah, I have a master's degree in English literature. And I just found out that some of my work on like gender theory and Gloria Anzaldúa is being taught at SC. So I was like, holy fucking shit, man, because I saw this one of their syllabi for their, one of the courses and like borderland studies. I just stumbled on it. I was like, cool. But
Awesome.
right, thank you. But like situationism is one of my biggest influences. And people like Gita Board, obviously, also Kyle Lasson. And I remember I was just like when I interviewed Jarabo, I was just totally like have you read Sadie Plant on situationism the
No, I
most?
haven't.
Um
I only know about this because this one friend, I think
yeah,
he interviewed me when he was writing the book. This is back,
okay, yeah,
I want to say like 2000, like
yeah.
around then. Um, and his name's Stacy Thompson.
Stacey Thompson. Okay,
Yeah,
I gotta can you hook me up? Because I just want to talk to this guy. I'm a
I haven't
huge
talked to him probably since
oh,
then, but
okay. Okay, yeah. Um, so read Sadie Plant. It's called the most radical gesture. And it's out of forget the imprint, but the most Routledge. Okay, or Rutledge, however you pronounce it. Yeah, the most
yeah,
radical
Routledge, yeah.
gesture. Sadie Plant, who also wrote books like Writing on Drugs,
Okay.
is a or eco or cyber feminist in Scotland. And another one of my friends I work with is Ken Goffman. Are You Serious? From Mondo 2000, and
Hmm.
he's a good pal. I think he uses a lot of that, with that they call détournement, where you kind of take, corporate culture and you just fuck with it and just, turn it inside out.
Yeah,
Yeah,
cool. Yeah.
cool. Yeah, right. Yeah.
I'll,
Um,
yeah, I'll send you a link. I think
yeah.
I found it online. I think it's called Punk's Not Dead. But anyway, we'll
Okay, yeah.
we'll
Um,
connect about it.
yes, cool. Yeah, so in the time we have left, I want you if you have any other interviews today. But so I guess kind of wrap things up. So tell me about the tour. I guess it's the East Coast. Um,
Yeah, this is going to be my first like real US East Coast
yeah,
solo tour. I've
yeah,
done sort of one-off things out there,
right,
and but yeah, it'll be, starting in North Carolina. I'm going to do a duo set with my friend Sholay Asgari, and then start the tour in Richmond, Virginia, and then go north from there,
nice.
Montreal, Toronto, and ending in Pittsburgh. So, and I'll be going with another solo artist, a dungeon synth artist,
Uh,
Vela from DC.
okay. Did you say
Yeah.
dungeon synth?
Yeah.
Okay, so I think the only artist that I can think of is Mortis.
Uh-huh.
Right?
Well, he's the
Mortis?
biggest.
Well,
Yeah, Mortis.
I mean, he's kind of the like, only game in town when it comes to like when you think dungeon synth, you think, you know,
Well,
right?
dungeon
But
synth is like punk. I mean, it's like
it
it's
is.
become very underground. There's
Yeah,
all kinds of people, and some sort of in between, like not as known as Mortis, but
right. Yeah,
almost. And you have Questmaster. He's probably one of the other sort of big names.
yeah,
But yeah, it's like I love it because it's very like 21st century, like
yeah,
scaled down
yeah.
performance, like all sorts of cosplay, which I like to do now
Hmm.
solo, have all the crazy masks and everything. A lot of people use swords and chainmail and then everything is just contained in your whatever
Yeah,
your little synth setup,
yeah.
1980s keyboard and you know maybe there's vocals, maybe there's not. And
Right.
so I really like the aesthetic. I feel like the aesthetic of that really goes well with what I'm doing.
Hmm.
And it's like it's sort of just economically scaled to like touring nowadays, because
You're right.
touring with a band now is a total racket. I mean,
Yeah,
it's too expensive. So
right.
if you can go as a solo artist, it's a lot more worth your while, I think. But
That is raises another fascinating question. I think we'll end with this. So so I've been around since, I mean, in terms of music journalism, my first interview, I think it was my first interview was either Ross Williams or um, some of the guys from Cannibal Corpse.
wow,
And right, and it was just
so
like
cool.
yeah, so and it's because I think it was for Carbon 14 magazine, if you remember that one, right?
I
And
don't, but
yeah,
gotta
those
write
were
all this down.
there's one of the like the OGs. Some other writers for that were like James and Nicole Blackman from KMFDM. So looking back, it's like, holy shit, right? So, some of the people that I was who were just my fellow journalists at the time. And so yeah, so I kind of have I'm 58, so I kind of tracked, you know, I kind of forced myself to, accommodate the new music that I was coming up, in the 80s and 70s and 80s and listening to, of course, Priest, Black Sabbath, even like The Who or, all these bands that were not then you had the diaspora, and you had thrash in the Bay Area, and then you had bands like Venom, and everybody was trying to be heavier and faster than Motorhead, right? You had Sodom in Germany, and oh my God, it's just proliferated. But in your career, how have you seen like heavy music change, and what are some of the logistical changes and as well as scene changes that you've seen?
Metal has evolved, so much from decade to decade.
Yeah,
It's like it's almost there's so many different aspects to talk about with this,
right,
and I think a lot of it is the production.
right.
And so, when metal was first coined, I don't know, was that like, I mean, it might have been mentioned as early as the late 70s. I don't even know if it was
Um,
even,
that there was so there's a couple of different origin stories. Some people
yeah.
ascribe it to William S. Burroughs, and
Okay,
some people
yeah.
say it was Steppenwolf.
Okay, so late 60s, early
Right.
70s, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay. So I hear different things all the time about that. And it's very, sort of literal, like I think
Right.
it was used in this very little literal sense. And then it didn't really go mainstream till like the 80s, right? I mean,
I don't think it went mainstream
I don't think
until
Sabbath called themselves heavy metal when they
no.
got big at all.
And
So,
Lemmy would always insist. on like he'd be like, "We play rock and roll," and he would just like
Right.
he literally
Yeah.
like the first time I met him, he was asking me to explain my magazine, and I was just like, "Holy shit, it's Lemmy," and I was sort of like, and then I was like, I said, "Oh, it's the magazine of extreme metal." I meant like music. The name is Magazine of Extreme Music, and I said, and then he said, "We play rock and roll," and then he turned his back and he went to the bar,
Right.
and I was like,
Yeah,
"Okay,
of course.
it's because it's Lemmy, right?"
Yeah.
Um, there, so there have been a lot of, changes in terms of, I think that it didn't actually become mainstream until fairly recently,
Yeah.
you know, because of
Yeah.
Metallica.
And I think it's gotten more diverse. You have a
Right.
lot more people playing metal in all different kinds of metal all over the world. It's like in this international sort of, you know, multi-scene
Yeah.
community. And the production, it's like you can make a very solid line between all the production, uh I would say from the early 2000s forward
Hmm.
and the early 2000s and backward, like,
Yeah.
and with some variation, in the past. But I mean, everything's gotten so hyper compressed. The
Right.
guitar tones, the
Yeah.
the drum trigger sound,
Yeah.
like it, the typewriter drums, and the vocals, like the way the growls, it's so homogenized now
Yeah.
in this way that I don't think it existed before. And now people are doing all kinds of interesting things with it too. I mean, they're
Right.
mixing all these genres,
Yeah.
uh, together, like, I don't know, like black gaze or like whatever the mixture of, shoegaze and black metal, or
Okay,
that.
so Lush,
Yeah.
do,
Yeah, the
do I
band.
do I detect a little Lush in there, like in your
Oh,
stuff?
I'm big
Like,
Lush fan. Big
okay,
Lush fan.
huge,
Yeah.
huge, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Leaves Me Cold is like one of my go-to
Oh.
jams, right?
Ah.
Oh,
The
yeah,
thing about Lush is I saw them in
yeah.
92.
Wow,
I was in high school in 92.
wow.
And then I saw them again when they reunited in 2016.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, this band is tight. Like, this band is
Okay.
like, band has like attitude now. Like,
Yeah.
I read Mickey's memoir as well, and I loved
Okay.
it.
Yeah.
And I was like, this band is like, has gotten like even better.
Uh-huh.
Like, and the new album they came out with them was awesome. I know there's like a riff between Mickey and Emma. Like, they don't, I think they don't talk anymore.
Yeah.
But so I think that's a done deal. And I've seen Mickey's projects,
Hmm.
later on, and
Yeah.
they're all really great.
Right.
And she's I mean, she kind of started out as, like, when I saw them in the 90s, like very sort of like kind of introverted,
Right.
shy appearance on stage,
Yeah.
which was kind of like the hip thing. And then 2016, she's like, middle-aged and just does not give a shit.
Right.
And she's just like, all the sarcasm, bantering and everything. I
Yeah.
loved it. It was so just awesome to see how she evolved, in her slightly later years, and all the stuff she went through and the biz and everything. Like, it
Yeah.
was just really, really inspiring to me.
I
So,
mean, speaking of inspirational figures, certainly Exene Cervenka is one of
oh
like
yeah.
my all-time favorites. I mean, like pioneer, incredible songwriter, and just brilliant person. And I was like, recently, it was like 2 or 3 weeks ago, I was looking at Iris Berry's Facebook page, and I was like, "Holy shit, she's doing something with Exene!" Like,
Wow.
and Jack Grisham, and some of the and S.A. Griffin, and it's the photographs, and I was like, "Wow, you got Exene!" So that kind of inspired me because I'm doing an Ellen Maybe tribute, and I was thinking because they're mutual fans. In fact, Exene did a album called the excitement of maybe, And
Oh,
so I was like, okay, so I wonder if I can get an Exene interview. And I reached out to it's called It's Psychedelic, Baby. And it's a magazine. And they said, yeah, you can republish my so I'm using an Exene interview for that. Anyway, I was just excited to see that because that kind of their DNA, the X having, DJ Break and Billy Zoom and kind of like the big band jazz, folk, Woody Guthrie, all those all those strands. Yeah. And so,
yeah.
right?
It's all part of us, whether it's conscious or not, right?
Yeah.
Like these
Yeah.
things, if you've had some kind of like interaction with something at any time in your life, I feel like it all just works its way in, just like,
Yeah.
I mean, I practically grew up in a mosque, when I was a kid,
Yeah.
Muslim dad,
Right.
all the call to prayer, all of that, just it work like whether I want to or not. It's like I have
Yeah.
no control over it. It just kind of works its way in.
Yeah.
And yeah, I
Could you
think
talk right? I mean, could you talk about more about your your background with a Muslim family and how that it has affected your sensibility and your art?
sure, a little bit. I mean, I can say that, I'm from a mixed background. So
Right.
my father's side of the family is from Egypt.
Oh wow.
My mother, Irish Roman Catholic, all
Okay.
the way. Like she
Yeah.
went to Catholic school. She's a New
Yeah.
Yorker,
Yeah.
and so I think my parents met in an astrology shop. That's the
Oh
last
wow.
story I heard, like in the
Interesting.
70s. Like, of
Yeah.
course, right?
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
they taught at the same high school and everything, and my mom, converted to Islam for a while,
Oh
and
wow.
then realized a few years later that it just wasn't for her,
Yeah.
and my parents split, and mostly lived with my mom growing up,
Yeah.
and my twin sister, and so I'd see my dad on weekends, and that's when we, Friday's the holy day, right? So that's
Right.
we'd go to the mosque, for the special days, and celebrate the Eid, the end of Ramadan and all that, and
Yeah.
so, and my dad's an imam, right? So
I
like
didn't know that.
I have to
Wow.
sit through all the the khutbah, which is the sermon, so he
Oh,
would talk
wow.
all about that, and it's kind of hippie-ish. It was a Sufi mosque, so
Okay.
he had a lot of like hippie converts and all that, and
Nice.
so that was like in Soho in the early 80s,
Okay.
and so all of that, like the calls to prayer, um they do the dhikrs on Thursdays, the late night, where you like repeat God's name, all these
Right.
phrases
Yeah.
into this dizzying, like you're whirling around in a circle, and you're almost passing out from
Yeah.
these recitations,
Yeah.
and so, as a kid, I hated it because it was like I didn't really want, I was sort of forced to be there. And, so I think like that definitely influenced punk rock in my teens because I
Okay.
rebelled against everything
Yeah.
that was, being forced on me. So I was
Yeah.
breaking away from that. But then at the same time, I was like, but all that musicality
Yeah.
really like became a big part of me, and I didn't, not until like the solo project did I really have like a conduit for all of that, and Celtic music on my mother's side, just
Yeah.
all of those roots. And
I actually wrote that down when Androsyncytium, and I wrote down haunted Celtic Gothic folk fairy tale vibes, and then I made immediate um this is my notes, and then I said janitor of lunacy, Nico, because you do a little Nico in there.
Nico, that's so
Yeah,
cool.
right.
I mean,
Yeah,
Nico's like the epitome of cool.
right.
Like,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
drug chic,
Janitor
you
of
know.
Lunacy. Yeah. Or
Uh,
this, or her cover, her epic 15-minute cover of The End, this
oh
song
God,
was
gorgeous.
was,
Yeah,
was Jim
yeah,
Morrison's favorite song. And it's just she's got this these like almost operatic kind of, Gregorian chant, fills the space with, it's mesmerizing, right? It's just
yeah.
unbelievable. So, yeah, Nico.
Well,
Wow.
that's a high honor, so thank you.
Well, you're welcome. I mean, it's well deserved, and it's in there. All these things are in there. I love the fact that we have access, and it's just so many levels. I mean, shows like mine and Martin Popoff and Eddie Trunk and all the and just the YouTube shows that really dissect the music, like the reactions where you have like a classically trained musician listening to I don't know, the Deicide or Motley Crue or whatever, and really saying, like, had when Militia Vox, I had her on the show and she said, well, metal is just like loud classical.
Yeah,
you know
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see. Okay, so this is a kind of I guess a standard one, but what is some of your advice to musicians who want to, kind of are inspired by you and you want to, particularly for girls and women who want to, be in extreme music?
Well, there's so many of us out there today,
Yeah,
like compared to when I started, right?
right, yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
so I think there are a lot of great, you know, doors have like really opened,
yeah,
so much. You know, I would probably give the same advice to anyone, no matter who they
yeah,
are.
right,
But you know, play with good people. Like if you're going to collaborate,
right, yeah,
don't just like it. It's important that people match your
right,
ability level,
yeah,
but play with good. If you play with good people, they're going to be in your life for a long time, and you can't like the kind of music you want to do when you're like 16 or 25 even, like you don't know how that's going to change over the
right.
decades, that you could end up doing like, look at me, I'm just doing like whatever, like all different kinds of
Yeah,
things.
yeah, yeah,
But those people, if you form those relationships and you hold on to them, and you like I'd say, play with your friends,
right,
right? Like if someone is truly a friend,
yeah,
a friend for life, they will be, I think, the best collaborators. I
yeah,
think there's something, there's a depth there than just like um, playing with whoever, kind of like burning through like collaborators.
right.
I think it can be challenging because people drive each other crazy, right? Like that's just being human. We all
For
have our
real, though.
weaknesses,
Yeah,
and but if you can find a way to make it work,
yeah,
it's so rewarding.
yeah,
And I think it's great for people to diversify their creativity as much as possible, because it's so easy to get burned out
yeah,
doing the same thing over and over. You like you just, after a while you get sick of hearing the same like tonalities, and
yeah,
you know seeing the same thing over and over again, and you might have parts of yourself that you want to get out that
right,
you can't do with one project.
right,
And then if you want to keep that one project going for a long time,
right,
if you step back and do other things and come back to it, you'll come back refreshed
right.
and renewed and ready to make that one thing evolve in the best way that it can.
Right. Okay. Thank you for that. And so, this has been the Kandy Fontaine Show. I'm Alex S. Johnson, aka Kandy Fontaine, and my very special guest has been Leila Abdul Rauf. And the new album is Androsyncytium. And could you tell us um what your next dates are? You may have mentioned this, and I apologize, but if you did, and also how people can get in touch with you, how they can access your stuff, and all that.
Sure, yeah. So my next dates are locally here in the Bay Area. There's a two shows, September 19th at it's the Nap Sugar Warehouse, which is at 23rd and Treat in the Mission.
Oh, nice.
And I have a very special guest singing with me, Laurie Sue Shoneman, used to be in the band Ludacra and Ailes. So
Holy shit.
very
So
excited about that.
Ludacra, it's like, okay, you know their cover, their it's not a cover, it's their song, Heart of Darkness, right? I that's Ludacra. That's Ludacra.
I
Or is
I
that, no,
think I don't know this. I don't know the
I'm
song
sorry.
titles. Sorry.
I'm sorry. I was completely
I'm
off.
just agreeing because I figured you know
It's
everything.
it's Lullacry. So it's completely off. Never mind. I always try to find because there's so many songs that have the title Heart of Darkness. And I got a promo from this band Lullacry, and look it up. Heart of Darkness. It's really great. It's
Okay,
a really great jam. Okay, I'm
cool.
sorry. Okay, so you're gonna be playing those dates, and then
So
your
September 19th and
September.
23rd and Treat in the Mission,
Nice.
San Francisco, and
Right.
then September 20th at Temescal Arts Center. It's an
Okay.
early show. Both of the shows are with Geist and the Sacred Ensemble.
Oh,
Really
nice.
excellent band from
Yeah.
the Washington State area. Very like dark folk, kind of sort of dark industrial ritualist folk
Yeah.
stuff. Love
Yeah.
them. And my dear friend Jorge, who does a Alpha Sun Omega Moon solo project, and Jessica Way is also playing the San Francisco show. Her project is
Nice.
called Lacrimarium. Gorgeous stuff. So that's September 19th and 20th, and then the East Coast tour starts October 1st and runs for about 10 days.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
And what about merch? Because I want to hook up with some merch, like,
Oh yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Well,
right.
well, get this. For the first time in what, I don't know, 15 years I've been doing this project,
Yeah.
I got shirts printed. So I have the
Yes.
first Leila Abdul Rauf t-shirts
Nice.
made by my dear friend Matt Scott, who's the DC band Goetia. And they're on their way, and I'll have them for the tour and for
Yes.
the shows here. Yeah.
Great, great. Yeah, can I order them like through like is it 20 bucks spin or from do you have your own
Just
shop
through
or
me. You can drop me a line on
okay,
Instagram or Bandcamp,
okay,
um, or come to the shows because
okay,
that's
yeah,
what they're there for.
sweet.
And then 20 bucks spin has the colored vinyl
Nice.
and CDs, so I'll
Rock
have
and
all of
roll.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a real pleasure. Thank you so much.
Likewise. Thank you, Alex. Great
Okay.
conversation.
Yeah, same here. Okay, we'll see you soon.
Take care.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.